House and Senate leaders reaching an agreement on a bipartisan funding bill avoiding a partial government shutdown. The bipartisan bill will ensure the federal government is funding through at least December 20th. The House is likely to vote on the bill as early as Wednesday. Florida Republican Congresswoman María Salazar is here. The first time I've met you in person. Great to see you here in New York studio.
My pleasure to be here with you in the studio.
So is it fair to say that this partial government shutdown is off the table before the election?
Of course. We're going to vote and it's going to pass, and we will fund the government until December 20th. I think we should have voted, and the whole conference, the GOP congresspeople and congressmen and congresswomen, we should have voted for the previous one that included the SAFE Act, which is that we demand some form of identification before you vote, right. But we will fund the government by December 20th.
By the way, incidental is the fact that 81% of Americans, according to Pew, I think it's exactly the same amount according to Gallup, so it's a pretty fair polling of Americans, want a voter ID for citizens.
Of course.
For citizens. So how can it be that only 2.2% of Democrats in the House voted for something that 81% of Americans want?
Well, that happens all the time. It happens all the time when the Dems do not necessarily vote according to what Americans want. But at least right now, we're going to be able to fund the government, not harm our men and women in uniform, and then pick up the fight or the discussion once again December 20th or before.
I mean, it just sounds like an Alice in Wonderland universe you're talking about, though, well, because these are representatives. They're supposed to represent the views of their constituents, 81% of whom favor this SAVE Act, and apparently only 2% of Democrats do.
Yes, but unfortunately, democracy is messy, and there are some of my colleagues on the Democratic side, they did not agree with including that in a spending bill. You know, it's like democracy is messy and a lot of discussion in it, but still is the best system around.
No, it is indeed.
Right?
It is indeed. But you used to cover politics as a journalist. Now that you're in it, now that you're actually a part of the news rather than covering the news, is it messier than you thought it was?
A lot messier, and most Americans do not know about it. But
even a journalist like yourself did not know the extent to which it's
when you're on the
messy.
floor and you're discussing with the rest of your colleagues on the Dems and on the Republican side. But like I said, I always count my blessings, and we have the best we have the best system. It's the American exceptionality. The American electoral system is still the best. If not, look at Nicaragua or Venezuela or Iran or North Korea. So I count my blessings.
Well, and so do a lot of folks that come here from Latin America, including my wife, including your parents, et cetera. Right. And there's a new poll out, an NPR Marist poll, showing that Trump has regained the lead among the Latino community, 51% to 47%. Now, I should mention that a Fox News poll showed exactly the opposite, that Harris is leading Trump by 55% to 43%. So the numbers are all over the place, but it does seem like the Democrats' attempt to get more Latin voters on their side with the open border has had exactly the reverse effect, doesn't it?
It's historical, and it's a transformational realignment, what's happening right now within the Republican Party vis-a-vis the Hispanics. We are not woke. We have the same values that are entrenched in the Republican Party: God-fearing, law-abiding, tax-paying, small government, pro-family, pro-life. Reagan said it. Hispanics are Republicans, they just do not know it. And this is the historical time for the Trump camp and for the Republican Party to embrace and to welcome the Hispanics, telling them, we want you. We're not racists. We are pro-family. We have the same values that you have. It's just that during the last 30 years, the Republican Party has not approached or spoken to the Hispanics as much as the Dems. But at the same time, like I always say, and I'm one of the most bipartisan members in Congress, the Dems have played political football with the Hispanics, specifically with immigration. Immigration reform law has been promised since Obama, before that, and nothing has happened. And we can get into that. That's another very big conversation. But right now is the economy and wokeness.
Well, and the economy, a lot of the people from Latin American countries have experienced a more government-centric or even socialist economy and realize it doesn't work. That's one reason that's probably the main reason your parents came here. That's the reason a lot of members of my family came here. I mean, the bottom line is they are much more suspicious of the big government plans of the Democrats than they are of President Trump, who came from the business community.
Of course. We have a fantastic economic system, the platform, the American agenda, that allows anyone who comes to this country, works hard, does not get a handout, but has the opportunity. Mm-hmm. It has the same opportunity as anyone else. Nothing assures you the outcome, but at least you can try. And look around New York City. And that is the dignified life in the promised land. That's what everyone wants. But regulations, high taxes, high interest rates, you cannot buy a home, you cannot buy a car, you don't have a job, they don't pay you well. I mean, that's not the Hispanic way.
Very quickly, they're giving me a rap, but immigration law is a mess.
It is.
Any immigrant knows how messy it is. You talk about messy Washington. Donald Trump has a plan to switch to a merit-based system where if you have a particular talent, whether it's as a computer operator or as a bricklayer, and we need those talented people, that's how you get into the United States. Do you favor a plan like that?
I agree with that. I'm the only member of the GOP who wrote an immigration reform law called the Dignity Act. We can always talk about that later. But yes, we have to allow people to come in based on their merits. And obviously, asylum. We are the beacon of hope, but asylum the right way. But then we have a major problem with 11 million people who have been here for many years, more than 5 years. I'm not talking about the people that Biden allowed to come in the last 4 years. You have a big pool of people who have been working, have American children, have not committed crimes, and they have contributed to the economy that we got to do something with them, whatever it is. And I think I have a forum.
Congresswoman, thank you for being here.
My
Congresswoman
pleasure.
Salazar.